Hey everybody, Rick here. Want to touch base with you before I start my new job on Monday, just as a kind of a final talk to you. Been coaching some people and I've been enjoying it, and been doing some other things and been having a good time with Hope. But I need to do some work with project management and do some things for my family and that kind of thing. So I'll be putting Hope kind of like on a back burner for a little bit, but that's okay. It's still there. It's still in my heart, and I'll still be moving forward with it as I can. But here's what I wanted to talk to you guys about, because it might be the last time we talk for a little while. You know, our country is being divided from within. It doesn't matter whether you are a Democrat or a Republican or a Libertarian or an Independent or whatever you are, Christian, Muslim, gay, white, black, whatever. If you're an American, you know exactly what I'm talking about. We are tearing each other apart. And in my opinion, we don't need to be doing that. We really don't. We have an opportunity right now to stop this downward spiral. What downward spiral am I talking about? I think that if you honestly think about it, we've been on a downward spiral of corruption in our government for the last few decades. And it's our fault. Yours and mine, our ancestors, have allowed this to go on. We've allowed unlimited terms of Congress to go on. We have allowed lobbying to become an industry and a career, where going into Congress, you're bought by lobbyists. Coming out of Congress, you become a lobbyist. We have allowed campaign contributions to become a golden pocketbook for candidates. We have allowed for the sale of arms to be an industry that our people, certain congressmen, have been doing, selling arms to rogue players in other countries that are now terrorist organizations. I don't need to keep going on. But I think we can all say, without a shadow of a doubt, that our understanding is that our government has been operating in corrupt manner for way too long, and that we need to change it. And it's my belief, and a lot of other people's beliefs, as is evidenced by our 2016 election, that we now have an opportunity to change that. There are many of us who elected Donald Trump for one reason, because many of us, like most people, know that the immigration talk and the tax talk are the same things that these politicians have been talking about in almost every election for the last 30 or 40 years, about how they were going to solve it, and they never do. So I'm not so sure that anybody really ever believes any candidate is going to actually come in there and try to do anything about that, although Donald Trump has come in and tried to do a lot with that. But the one thing that got my attention was drain the swamp. Because I think that all of us, if you've got a brain and you're a conscious thinker, if you got a conscious mind, you know that we're corrupt. You know that our government is so corrupt. And I felt like that by electing a non-politician, even though he is a very brutal, unpolished, non-politically correct person, very rough. I'm not saying he's dumb. He's a very smart man. Genius, but genius IQ. But I felt like that he was the best opportunity we've had in decades to drain the swamp, to uncover the corruption in Washington. Because here's the thing. He's not a Democrat or a Republican going into this thing. Okay? I believe that at one point he was a Democrat. The only way he'd get elected was be on the Republican ticket. He could never done the Democrat ticket, specifically, or especially knowing what we know about the Democratic Party at this point, looking back over the last 2 or 3 elections and what's been going on with the DNC and what they do. It's quite evident now, and it should be to you too, that the corruption that's been going on has been going on the Democratic side. And I'm not going to go into it any more detail. All you got to do is watch the news and keep yourself updated. I do say this, keep yourself updated on the news and do your own research and your own reading and that kind of thing. Dig into it and you'll see what I'm talking about. There's no question about it, in my mind anyway, that the Democratic candidate in the last election got away with some high crimes. Hadn't gotten away with them yet. I think they're going to be revisited. But there was, in my opinion, there was treason committed. There were some high crimes committed, and they were covered up in order to avoid losing that candidate as the presidential candidate, because they were so sure that she would win the White House. They were wrong, but there were crimes committed, there were crimes covered up, and they're being uncovered now. They can run, but they can't hide. Okay? I also believe that there is still this arrogant plan to try to topple the sitting president. I'm busy. So that was Karen. And I believe that. And I think that if you do your own research and you continue to pay attention, not so much to the news media, because the news media is going to do what they have to do because they're Trump haters. No question about it. I think it's pretty clear. And you can cut this video off now if you don't want to listen. I know that it sounds to me like that I'm all about Trump, but here's the truth of the matter. We will never fix the corruption in Washington, D.C. by continuing to elect career politicians into that office until we clean up this mess. We have a mess. And until you and I, Democrat, Republican, Independent, Libertarian, whatever you are, until we can get enough of us together and get behind the agenda to clean up the corruption in Washington, it will never get better. I hope that you understand that. I do. This is where I'm at right now. We have got to get together, and we have got to, if for no other reason than to get the corruption straightened up, get behind this president to make that happen. You stand on your beliefs, stand on your party. That's okay. But you can't be this resistor to everything that comes from this president and his administration. Do you understand that you are corrupting what the founders put this country in place to do? I don't think you believe for 1 minute that everything that's going on with this president is wrong. If you do, then I don't know where you're coming from. I don't understand how you're even thinking. To me, it's animus, and it's just plain hate. Because if you can't see that he's doing anything right, then I don't understand how you can call yourself a legislator in our country. I talk to people every day who see the great things that's happening in our country. And yet the legislators on the left are not supporting him in anything, which is so wrong to me. I'm calling on the American people, regardless of your party affiliation, to stop, think about what you're doing, think about what our founders put this country together to do. We have got to get together here to stay this unique country that was developed to avoid tyranny. We have a unique country. We have a unique thing here that has never been seen in the history of mankind. And what's happening right now is on the verge of destroying that because people are going crazy with emotion and not trying to think through things logically, when there's so much we could do together if we would only sit still long enough to understand what we're trying to do and what needs to be said and what needs to be planned out. Stop it. Stop with the talk of harassment and riots and resisting and never trumping and all of that. It is just wrong-headed. It doesn't make sense. A united country will flourish with agreement. A divided country will wither and die from lack of nourishment from the fertilizer of consensus. As a hope human, honest, omnipotent, pure love essence, I urge you to stop, take a breath, realize what it is that you're getting ready to ignite. Don't allow those who are trying to instill in you a sense of hate for the values that America stands for. One nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Again, we need to have differences of opinion. We need to have debate. We need to have civil discourse. Remember, the problems that we are facing right now have been here for decades. The issue with the border, the issue with elections, the issue with fraud and abuse, they've all been here for decades. We've now got an opportunity to fix it. We would never fix it with a true Republican or a true Democrat in the White House. We've got a disruptor in there right now who is making people sit up and take responsibility and accountability for what they've done. Get behind that. If you get behind that, then we can start with some clean, new elected people coming in there. We need to get rid of those corrupt politicians. Just they need to go. They need to go. We need to change lobbying. We need so many things we need to change, but we can't do it without the help of everybody. This is Rick. I love my country. I love you. And I do hope that people will get some sense about what it is that you are challenging here when you are calling for riots and calling for harassment and calling for resistance and animus toward our president, calling for his assassination, calling for him to be beheaded, calling for him and his family to be in his cabinet to be tortured and harassed, and whatever it is that these people are calling for is just plain wrong. Don't you see that? It's not the president. It's not the president. He's bringing out in everyone what has been there for decades. And we can work with him to help him develop policies that will work for the country. Not for the right, not for the left, but for the American people. I think you need to do the right thing. I think we need to get our heads straight. As the Americans, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Love you. Bye.